Hey everyone, it's the Andy Knight here. It's been a year since Pokemon Unite was released and I haven't heard much about the game since. Until about now at least. If you don't know, Pokemon Unite is a free-to-play multiplayer battle arena or a MOBA that basically plays like League of Legends but with Pokemon on the Switch, iOS or Android. I've decided to release this video in response to the huge backlash I've seen from the MrWhoseTheBoss video on Pokemon Unite. If you didn't know who MrWhoseTheBoss is, they are a YouTube channel that deals mainly with tech reviews with the host Aaron. And since this is the first time I've ever seen a gaming related video on this channel, I do have to say I was quite surprised to see Pokemon Unite portrayed in such a pay to win way. He definitely has some good points about the gaming industry's greedy tactics as a whole, but I do have to say that there are so many better games to have used as examples of this situation. I don't tend to see much about Pokemon Unite from the community about the state of the game, so I felt it was really just time to break the silence and finally explain why people think that this game was paid to win in the first place and provide some ways to avoid pulling out your credit card for this game. So let us get started. Aaron starts off with held items as the predatory side of Pokemon Unite, and boy, I cannot say how wrong this is. There's a mountain of items in the shop, but all you actually do need are a grand total of 6 to 7 items in the game to remain fully free to play. These items would include the Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, Muscle Band, Razor Claw, Scope Lens, Weakness Policy, and the Choice Specs. My personal recommendation, if you really do want to choose 3 of these to go with for any character at all, is to basically level up the Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, and Muscle Band. These items are extremely strong in the fact that they provide percentage health damage that just cannot be beat, healing for the sustain, and an extra shield during ultimates. It all works like a charm for any solo queue character except for crit characters like Absol, which do need Razor Claw and Scope Lens. And maybe Weakness Policy for some of the more all-rounder type characters. Any other items in this game are purely extras if you have extra tickets, which include the stacking items that I would not recommend unless you really know what you are doing. And the way these items work is that they provide you with a stack of a stat for each dunk, like the HP, attack or special attack, and these will include items like the attack weight. Items like the Score Shield as well as the Rock Helmet, I don't use them at all. They're pretty much not part of my list and I would not buy them. As far as the video goes, Aaron only ran out of tickets to upgrade items because he bought every single item on the list because he had to try them all. I literally play with these 3 items that I listed, the Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, and Muscle Band again if you haven't caught that. Max those out simply because I focused on those 3, and they have basically worked for me since the very beginning of the game with no fail. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, am I right? The second largest wallet trap has to be buying characters themselves. I only ran into this issue after playing for about an entire year, so I'm actually not surprised that Aaron didn't find this an issue in the game. Coins don't really come easy after the first 24 to 25 levels of the game, and I would definitely suggest figuring out what Pokemon you would like to play before you actually buy them, and save up for the ones that you really want as a free-to-play player. Tier lists are really good ways to scout out Pokemon, and remember that you can always try out a Pokemon before you buy anything, so make full use of this to be optimal with your coins because there are no refunds. I'd also highly recommend testing them out in an actual match when they go into rotation each week before committing to buying a Pokemon. There was another thing that Aaron was talking about that was a main part of the video, which was costumes and the battle pass being extremely important as part of the game. As far as I can tell, like in many MOBAs, Pokemon Unite's main form of monetization becomes its cosmetics once you get past the item sets and characters at the very start of the game. Skins make your Pokemon look cooler with 0 added benefits in the game apart from some animation changes, with a few more of the expensive ones, and a different look to your character, of course. You do not need a skin to do well at all, you just need practice, and it will just hurt twice as hard when you do lose a game. They also tend to give skins out sometimes for free during events as well, and they are extremely generous with them sometimes, like in the past anniversary event. So all I think you need to do is have a bit of patience to wait for the free stuff, and don't buy skins if you really want to stay free to play. As for the battle pass, it might look like the quick way out for busy people without the time to play the game, which is a fair point, but I do assure you, if you stick around long enough in the game and play as long as you can, the game will definitely provide rewards with time that include the tickets that are used to upgrade your items. There is really no need for the battle pass at all unless you really want the cosmetics for your trainer, which are useless in the game for in-game gameplay since you barely see your trainer anywhere but the loading screen and the main menu. And besides, you're not going to need the extra tickets for the tokens or more tokens if you manage your tokens and tickets well by only buying what is essential. So my simple advice is basically not to use any tickets for any costumes or boosts of any kind. I would not upgrade leftovers, leave your leftovers at level 1 and go and focus on those 6 to 7 items that I mentioned before. That will make your life so much easier, and most of the Pokemon actually use those items in their recommended builds as well. So those are literally all you need. Aaron's comments on the game not being skill-based are completely wrong, because Pokemon Unite is literally one of the most skill-based mobile games out there. I was basically cringing every single time he ran into a 2v1 situation or a 3v1 situation thinking he was invincible with all the items, but no, you are not invincible. This game is a team game, and running into 3 enemies alone as an all-rounder or an attacker is not a good idea at all unless you are really over-leveled or know what you are doing. The lane phase involves you working with teammates, and you are just not supposed to go running straight into the enemy team. There is a fine balance between jungle creeps and poking the enemy for some damage. And of course, sometimes the guy you're laning with may not be very good either. This idea of other players pulling you down is the problem of solo queuing in the game, where it becomes a huge gamble on whether or not you end up in a competent team who knows what they are doing. Objectives and farming are also an extremely important part of the game, and you really do need to work with the team to get the buffs at the top and bottom lane that can really just make or break the game at times. When there's not much going on in the lanes, you just have to keep farming and consistently maintaining the level difference you have instead of running into the enemy straight off. And so that's just so you can keep defeating your enemies and prevent them from leveling beyond yours. I really do feel that Aaron's fixation on items for power throughout this video is not the be-all and end-all of Pokemon Unite. It really takes knowledge of the map as well as the game, weighing out objectives and mastering the Pokemon that you choose, and choosing the Pokemon that's right for your playstyle. The only time you really know you're getting better at the game is if you are winning. And I would definitely bring friends along for the earlier stages of the game while starting off. It will make things so much easier than having to leave all of your skill to chance. And basically it'll just end up being pure skill, and you guys will all grow as a team instead. As far as my conclusions go, as you can see, Pokemon Unite is by no means a pay-to-win environment if you really know what you are doing, skill-wise as well as item-wise. Pokemon Unite is highly balanced once you've played enough of it, and with friends while getting enough EXP and points to keep ahead of your enemies, you can basically pop off at any game. As long as you've played long enough and invested enough time into the game rather than money, you will definitely reach the same level as anyone who has paid to win, spending cash to level up all of their items when there was simply no need to. I did also notice that many comments would have mentioned either looking up a tutorial or watching a video on Pokemon Unite before starting the game. But after starting multiple gacha games myself in the past 5 to 6 years, from Fate Grand Order to Genshin Impact, nobody really thinks of watching a tutorial before playing a mobile or gacha game. They basically just hope that a tutorial would help them through the game and explain things in a simple way, or expected the devs to keep the game as streamlined or intuitive as possible to help with this. Unfortunately, Pokemon Unite is not that kind of game, and the game is never going to tell you how to play the game in the most optimal way to avoid microtransactions. And if you did join the game without prior research, that is definitely a real shame. Still, I do have to say that MrWhoseTheBoss isn't completely wrong in his video to say that the menu design is definitely predatory. And I agree with his criticism on Pokemon Unite's way of making everything complicated to the point where people have zero clue what they really are doing. And this makes people think they do need to spend on the game when in fact most long-term players are playing the game free to play without having spent a single cent and will likely stay that way for a long time. To end us off, I do think this is a cautionary tale as for all new gacha or mobile game players to make sure you do your research into starting off a game before spending a single cent on it. I do know it may be a matter of pride in mastering a game with no help, but we as a community are all trying to avoid microtransactions as hard as you are, and as I say, one must remain humble to those with more experience with the game so as to start off on a better footing and not to make the same mistakes as we have in the past, especially us players who have been around for a long time. And let us end this video with this final piece of advice. If you do like this sort of content that talks about more serious stuff, do let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, if you do have any other opinions on this entire topic and you've played Pokemon Unite yourselves, do share your own thoughts and opinions on this topic as well. And that's pretty much it. Do stay safe, stay humble, and stay cultured in all things anime and gaming. And this is the Andy Knight signing off.